Welcome to MadHouse-Creations. The snow is finally gone and is starting to warm up, so it's time to get back out in the garage and start creating new holiday decorations. Last fall I created some new pumpkin molds, 2 of them. These big ones here are using 3D printed pumpkins, and the smaller one was poured after Halloween using a real pumpkin. It got too cold after Halloween to pour cast from these molds, so we had to wait till spring. So why don't you guys join me and see how these things turn out. When I'm pouring my molds with the polyurethane foam, I try to get everything laid out ahead of time, because once you mix the A and the B together, you only have about 30 seconds before you have to dump it into your mold. Since this is the first time that I'm pouring these molds, I only have an idea of how much foam I'll need. Some of them might be too little or too much. Right now I just want to get that first cast in so I can see what they turn out like. I'm really excited about these 2 taller pumpkins. I have a few monster scarecrow type projects in mind, so hopefully they turn out okay and they'll make good heads. I'm just pouring out the part A of the polyurethane foam into 3 separate cups, one for each pumpkin, starting with roughly about a 4-ounce batch. Well, probably 8 ounces by the time you mix the A and the B. One thing I like to do too, once I get the amount dialed in, I'll actually write on the mold. It'll take, whatever, 8 ounces, 10 ounces. That way I know for future pours. Now I'm just pouring part B, making sure that the A and the B are equal. And I found that the polyurethane foam is very forgiving. I mean, you could do it by weight or exact measurements, but I've never had an issue with just eyeballing it and getting it close. I think the reaction happens so fast that even if the mixture is off a little bit, it still works. And so now I'm just setting everything to the side, getting ready for that first largest pumpkin to be poured, because once you start mixing, you just got to go with it. So now I start mixing the A and the B together. Make sure you scrape it together real good, scrape the bottoms and the sides, and you want to try to mix as much air into it as possible. Kind of turns into like a cream colored, and it only takes 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Now I just dumped it into the mold, and I'll start by just rotating the mold, trying to coat everything as much as possible. And it was about this point where I realized that on this particular pumpkin, the batch of foam we made was not enough. So I knew it was going to have to get a second coat. So I just tried to spread it out as much as I could with what was in there. I just let it harden up so I can come back and do a second coat. Set that aside for the reaction to happen, and it'll harden up on us. After realizing the first pumpkin didn't have enough of a pour in it, I added about 2 to 3 more ounces of A and B for the next 2 pumpkins. And I also grabbed some larger cup to mix them in. Now on this one, we're just mixing the A and the B in a larger cup. Same process. Once that's thoroughly mixed, I just dumped it in the mold and then rotated the mold to get good coverage. This one was a little difficult because of the placement of the stem. It took a little while to try to get it to flow down into that stem. And adding that extra amount is probably actually too much for this pumpkin and for the next one. On this particular mold, I won't make a larger batch again. You can see how much is dripping out of there as I try to coat every part of it. Yeah, and here's where I was trying to get it to flow correctly down in the stem. I had to kind of tilt it to one side, let it pool up, and then turn it over real quick. And it's still relatively cold. I mean, it's in the 50s. This foam really reacts better when it's 70 degrees or above. Seems like this winter's just really dragging on up here in northern Michigan. So getting a little anxious. Want to get started on Halloween projects. Now we'll start on the 3rd pumpkin. Same thing as the other 2. Just mix up our batch of foam. A few weeks ago I built this background wall so I can hopefully get some better quality videos for you guys. I don't know, I'm thinking about staining it or painting it. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see. Now, this was a pumpkin I found at Walmart right before Halloween. It was such a weird shape. I thought it was interesting. That's why I made a mold of it. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it yet. I don't know. Kind of has like a Frankenstein flat top head to it. It's really weird, but I don't know. It might turn out pretty cool. We'll see. And then once these were all coated, I put them down for about 10 minutes, ran out to the smoker, threw some ribs on, and by the time I came back, they were completely dry. And since I knew I had to recoat the first pumpkin, I'm just going to make another small batch. And I just did the same thing, mixed it, dumped it in, rotated it, try to get all the spots that were missed the first time. And then by the time I demold the other 2, this one should be ready to go. Just making sure to get every little spot. There was a lot of gap. Now I'm starting the fun part, the demolding. Get to see what these things things actually turned out like. And you can see inside there how thick the pour was, and it was definitely way too much foam for this pumpkin. But it should still be usable. And also, if you've watched my video on how I make these molds, you can see on these I've kind of redesigned the way I do it now. I no longer put that seam all the way across. I just put a bigger chunk on one side that I can cut into. It helps it when it seals back up. And the shape of this pumpkin was making it pretty difficult to unmold. But once I figured it out, it came off pretty good. So yep, there's the first one. Kind of a weird shape. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but we'll see. And I was just checking to make sure nothing ripped on it. Everything looked good on the mold. Now I just put it back in the shell and get it ready for next time. If you had a couple of these molds, you could definitely sit here and you could probably make, well, you can make a pumpkin every 30 minutes if you wanted. You could quickly fill up your decorations with pumpkins for relatively cheap. A 2-gallon set of the polyurethane foam cost about $70, so you probably get 20 pumpkins, 15, 20 pumpkins out of it. So this is the other large one that didn't have any issues with needing the second pour. This one actually had too much foam in it as well. And when pulling your plaster molds apart, I try not to force them too much just because I don't want to crack the mold. And on this one too, you can also see down at the bottom, there was a couple gaps that didn't quite get filled, but it's still usable. I'll figure that out for the next time. And these ones have longer stems, so I try to be extra careful when pulling the stem off, both not to crack the stem or to rip the mold. I really like the way this one turned out. This is the one I was excited about doing. I wanted to pour it all winter long just so I could see it. Same thing, just return the mold back to the shell and get it ready for next time. On this last one, it was only about 10 minutes since I poured it, but it's already pretty solid. It was still warm, probably could have sat in the mold a little longer, but I wanted to see it. So if you guys want to check out a video on how I made these molds, I'll put it up at the end of the video and also put a link down in the description below. Here, this one has a long stem as well, so just taking my time. And that one turned out pretty cool too. That's one thing about 3D printing your pumpkins or whatever you're going to mold. You can modify them in your slicing software. Like this pumpkin that I just did was actually a typical round pumpkin, and I wanted something taller, so I just stretched it out in the slicing software and made it into what I wanted. But you can make them short and fat, you can make them tall and skinny, pretty much anything. Throw the rubber band back on and stick it on the shelf for next time. I'm really happy with the way these 3 pumpkins turned out. I had a few issues dialing in the amount of foam to use, which is pretty typical with the first time you pour these. It'll take me 3 or 4 pours before I figure out how much foam is needed for each one. But I think the overall shape of them turned out really well, and this one is my favorite. I think it'll make an awesome monster head or just even sitting on the porch. Just kind of a unique shape. If you guys want to see what they turn into, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Thank you.